Beyond breaking glass ceilings, the collective power of Black women entrepreneurs. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for what I promise will be a perspective shifting conversation about power, possibility, and the profound reimagining of success happening right before our eyes. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Sonia Sanders, a visionary leader who has fundamentally transformed how we understand Black women's entrepreneurship in America. To call Sonia merely influential would be a dramatic understatement. She is nothing short of revolutionary, a brilliant strategist who has redirected rivers of capital, reshaped entrepreneurial landscapes, and reimagined what economic empowerment truly means for communities that have been systematically marginalized for generations. Her work hasn't just elevated businesses, it has redefined success itself, moving us from celebrating individual achievement to honoring collective uplift. We've all heard the narrative, the one about exceptional individuals who, through sheer determination and grit, overcome impossible odds to achieve success. It's a compelling story, it's inspirational. And when it comes to Black women entrepreneurs, it's woefully, dangerously incomplete. For decades, we've celebrated the rare Black woman who breaks through, who defies statistics, who somehow manages to secure funding, scale her business, and make it onto magazine covers. We call her exceptional. We call her an anomaly. We hold her up as proof that the system works, if only you work hard enough. And in doing so, we've been missing something profound about what's actually happening in America right now. What if I told you that the most revolutionary aspect of Black women's entrepreneurship today isn't about individual success stories at all? What if the real revolution is happening in the spaces between these businesses, in the networks, the communities, the ecosystems being intentionally built? What if the true power isn't in breaking through glass ceilings, but in building entirely new structures where ceilings don't exist at all? This is the counterintuitive truth that emerged from my conversation with Sonia Sanders. The rise of Black women entrepreneurs isn't primarily a story about exceptional individuals overcoming barriers through personal grit. It's a story about collective action, intentional community building, and the creation of entirely new economic infrastructures. Let me share some numbers that might surprise you. Between 2019 and 2023, women owned businesses in the United States grew by over 94% compared to men owned businesses. The employment within these companies soared more than twofold, an astonishing 252% increase. Today, women control $3.9 trillion dollars in annual revenue nationally, while owning more than one third of all employer firms. But here's what's truly remarkable: Black and Hispanic women together account for nearly 9 out of every 10 net new woman led firms established daily. Black women in particular are starting businesses at historic rates. Now, the conventional wisdom would suggest that this is happening because more individual Black women are somehow finding ways to overcome systemic barriers. But that explanation misses the transformation that's actually occurring. What Sonia Sanders helped me understand is that Black women aren't just starting businesses, they're creating networks, infrastructure, and support systems designed to uplift entire communities. They're shifting from focusing on individual success stories to building collaborative platforms that fundamentally change the trajectory for future generations. Consider what happened at the 2025 Women's Business Enterprise National Council Conference in New Orleans. This gathering, held in a city that itself symbolizes resilience, showcased Black women entrepreneurs with record breaking revenue growth, up 32.7% since 2019. But they weren't achieving this growth in isolation. They were leveraging community driven strategies. The conference wasn't centered around celebrating exceptional individuals. Instead, it focused on systemic change by fostering mentorship programs, peer networking groups, and direct access to market opportunities. Attendees reported increased business revenues after the conference, not because they learned some secret formula for individual success, but because they gained improved market connections through collective action. From 2019 to 2023, Black women owned firms accounted for a majority of net new female led businesses daily. They rapidly outpaced overall market growth. But most importantly, they created scalable support systems for emerging entrepreneurs. They set new standards industry wide for how gatherings can catalyze lasting economic empowerment among minority founders. This represents a profound shift in thinking. The acceleration of Black women owned businesses isn't just about breaking glass ceilings, it's about constructing new rooms where everyone has a seat at the table through intentional community building. Let me be clear, systemic barriers absolutely still exist. While Black women are leading in business formation and revenue growth, they continue to face higher loan denial rates and less access to capital than their male counterparts. The numbers tell the story. Approval rates for loans lag behind those granted to male peers, 45% versus 55%, alongside higher loan denial rates, 25% compared to men's 19%. But rather than focusing solely on these barriers, Black women entrepreneurs are creating alternative pathways to success. They're building bridges where roads don't exist. Consider the Upgrade Her initiative by Gray, a global banking platform. After initial success with African female founders, Gray expanded this grant program globally in 2025. The challenges they were addressing were significant. Accessing non dilutive funding across borders and scaling impact beyond local markets as women entrepreneurs. Their solution, equity free grants awarded after rigorous pitch competitions with targeted outreach across continents and special focus on innovation driven sectors like agri tech and femtech. Four winners received $9,500 each, plus visibility via global press coverage. Nearly 2,000 applications showed immense demand from ambitious founders worldwide. What's particularly noteworthy is that this initiative started as an Africa focused program before broadening its scope due to overwhelming interest from underrepresented geographies, including US based Black founders seeking international exposure. It created pipelines connecting emerging talent with financial resources otherwise unavailable through traditional banking systems. It helped normalize cross border financial inclusion as essential infrastructure supporting diverse entrepreneurial ecosystems. This is what I mean by building new rooms rather than just breaking through existing ceilings. It's about creating entirely new systems rather than simply trying to gain access to broken ones. The third key insight from my conversation with Sonia Sanders is that investing in networks, mentorships, and collective resource sharing amplifies not just personal success, but also creates sustainable opportunities for others within our communities. The strategic use of conferences plus digital networking platforms tailored specifically toward minority founders has enabled knowledge sharing around best practices for accessing capital despite systemic hurdles. The creation of robust peer mentoring circles has led directly to measurable increases in both startup survival rates and average firm revenue year over year. When given targeted resources and empowered through shared learning environments, the impact ripples far beyond founder level gains into broader economic transformation. This demonstrates that the most effective approach isn't to focus exclusively on individual achievement, but to build ecosystems that lift many boats simultaneously. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't just a feel good story about community, this is about effectiveness. This is about results. The data shows that this collective approach is working better than the individualistic model we've celebrated for so long. Women now control $3.9 trillion dollars in annual revenue nationally. Black women owned businesses are growing at rates that outpace the market. The employment within women owned companies has increased by 252%. These are not just inspiring statistics, they represent real economic power being built through collective action. But there's something deeper happening here too, something that challenges our fundamental assumptions about success and achievement in America. For generations, we've been told that success is an individual pursuit, that the path to achievement is paved by exceptional individuals who, through their own merit and determination, rise above their circumstances. We celebrate the self made entrepreneur, the lone genius, the exceptional individual who breaks through barriers. What Black women entrepreneurs are showing us is that there's another way, a more effective way, a way that recognizes that true, sustainable success isn't about individual exceptionalism, it's about collective elevation. This shift in thinking has profound implications not just for entrepreneurship, but for how we approach some of our most pressing social and economic challenges. What if instead of focusing primarily on identifying and supporting exceptional individuals, we invested more in building ecosystems that enable many to thrive? What if instead of celebrating the rare person who overcomes systemic barriers, we focused on dismantling those barriers altogether? The rise of Black women entrepreneurs through collective action and ecosystem building offers us a powerful model for how this might work. It shows us that when we shift from focusing on individual success stories to building collaborative platforms, we can fundamentally change trajectories for entire communities. I stand before you today not just to share information, but to issue a challenge to reimagine what success looks like in your own life and work, a challenge to question the myth of individual exceptionalism that has dominated our thinking for too long. What would it look like if you measured your success not by how high you climb, but by how many you bring with you? What would change if your business plan included not just profit margins, but community impact? What if your definition of achievement expanded beyond personal gain to collective advancement? This isn't just about business, this is about justice. This is about creating a world where success isn't determined by how well you can navigate broken systems, but by how effectively we can build better ones together. The most revolutionary act isn't breaking through glass ceilings alone. It's building new structures with open doors where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. It's not just about being exceptional, it's about creating conditions where exceptionalism isn't required for success. So I ask you today, What will you build? Whose hand will you reach for? How will you use your power not just to rise, but to lift? The future doesn't belong to lone geniuses. It belongs to collective visionaries who understand that true power lies not in individual achievement, but in our capacity to transform systems together. Thank you.